Hey, good morning, dreamers. Good morning, dreamers. How are you this morning? So, yes, I'm back after the holiday. So, I'm so glad to be back because I have so much to talk about and I have great guests. And I really am excited about talking to you all on living life on your terms because it's important. It is important that we take back our lives. It's very important that we become the boss of our lives. So I really want you guys to sit down, enjoy the ride, enjoy the conversation, and be a part of the conversation. So, like I say every morning when I come on in the morning, it doesn't cost you a thing to say good morning. So if you have time to type in good morning, type in where you at, type in what you're doing, or if it say it is not a good morning, you like it's rough, say that too, because being real, being transparent, and being authentically you is exactly what this show is about. So just in case you don't know, the Start Living Your Dream Go Live training is a conversation. So I invite guests on with expertise in all different, variety of industries. But I also want you all to chime in as well. I also want you all to get in the conversation and say what you got to say and be transparent about who you are and what you want to talk about, because that's what this show is about. This is what this broadcast is about. So, like I said, I bring on seasoned professionals that provide phenomenal advice on how to live your best life. So if you are going through, there's really no need to go through, because the Start Living Your Dreams training Facebook groups gives you free information. So all you got to do is just join the group and get in there and be inspired, educated, and empowered. Okay, so if you don't know, now you know. I am T and Stacia White, lifestyle coach and founder of the Start Living Your Dreams training Facebook professional group. I also enjoy helping people transition in life. So we're going to start this phenomenal segment on doing a podcast starting next year, just talking about being real. I feel like it's a lot of fake stuff going on out there right now. I feel like people are just living in this fake reality. And I get how we got here, because all of our TVs, they say they real, but it's real, some really fake stuff going on. And so I understand how we got here. But what I want us to realize is some people have a true story to tell and information to tell and to support and help. And that's what I can't wait to talk about. But anyway, while we're here, I want to dare you. I know today, I always tell people today is the day to begin. And I dare you, I challenge you, I want to encourage you to, I dare you to dream bigger. I know it's a pandemic. I know 2020 has been crazy, but I dare you to dream bigger during this time. Have more faith or more courage than you've ever had in your life. All right. So, before I go, because I feel like if you're following somebody or watching somebody for 35, 45 minutes, you should know why they're here. What is their foundation laid on? What are they talking about for real? Or are they just talking, And so hopefully I don't just talk. I put a lot of background on what it is that I want to put out there in the world. And my thing is, I go by 2 Timothy. And this is how I try to live when I put things together like this segment, living life on your terms. It is under this umbrella of thinking. Okay, so 2 Timothy says, 1:9 says, who has saved us and called us with a holy calling, not according to our works. So ain't nothing that I'm doing on a daily basis about what it is that I want to do. All right. It is literally about what I was born to do. Okay. And so, but according to his own purpose. So every one of us has a purpose. And grace. So I think that's important to remember. So in living in your purpose, honey, you got to bag it up with some grace. Stop coming out here being like you the only thing that's doing whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, there's plenty of people out here you're doing life transitioning coaching every day. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I'm saying that I'm great at what I do in my field, but I'm never going to knock anybody else. So which was given to us in Christ Jesus before the world began. So my purpose, your purpose, everybody has a purpose before we were born, honey. It was given to us. It was already something laid down that we were supposed to do. So I love to share that every time because it should be a reason why you spending time with folks. Okay. All right. Let's see. We got some people. Hi, Ayana. Hey, lady. I just had Miss Greg on last week and we chatted it up, honey. We was chatting so long, we didn't know how to stop. And I do know that she has a program. So make sure you stop by and check her out on Facebook. But without further ado, I have and I changed this. Let's fix this right now, because maybe I forgot to hit save, because that's what you do in these days. All right, so I do have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guest speaker. She's going to come in and introduce herself and tell you some nuggets about herself. Okay, and if I could spell, let's try spelling. There we go. I think I got it now. I'll hit save this time. All right, so our guest speaker is Deborah Daniel. She is empowering you about some money, honey, how to get your finances in order, how to get your money right and tight. So you might want to stay and listen to this for a minute or two, right? So that you can get encouraged during Christmas time, because that's where we in this holiday times, and figuring out what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing, and get out your feelings. Because money, you shouldn't attach your money to your feelings. But you know what? I'm not the expert on that. So let me get her in here to talk about herself. Okay. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you? I love your messaging at the beginning, because we really all do have a purpose. I mean, and that's, I mean, I'm sure we don't have time today, but I do talk a lot of times about wealth a little bit, wealth more than just money, because wealth isn't, I mean, the very lowest vibration of wealth is the money wealth. We've got to have it, right? I mean, we've got to talk about it. I mean, everybody wants to talk about their purpose, but the reality is you can't have a purpose if you can't keep your lights on, right? So,
right, stay focused.
I mean, and there's just so many things that I could talk about. So are your listeners, just because I want to make sure I want to over deliver on anything that I can give to you guys today. Are they mostly business owners, or are they mostly women that work, or what? Tell me.
The way the group is set up, it's just anyone. So they might not have yet started a business, but I would say majority of the women or people that listen have a business.
Okay, awesome. Well, because the thing is, to me, my stake in the sand is one of the greatest, easiest ways to create freedom, to create the life that you want, to create the money that you want, is to have your own business. But that doesn't mean it has to be your full-time business, right? I mean, anybody that has a job should have some kind of a side gig, right? I mean, there's so many direct sales opportunities out there. I mean, and which direct sales has skyrocketed with this whole COVID thing, right? I mean, because we can't get to the mall and buy our, makeup and stuff like that. But a little bit about me before, like, who is this person and why are we even listening to her? Why? I would say why is because I have been doing this whole entrepreneurial money life for about 30 years, almost 30 years. Hopefully I don't look old enough to have done that, but, and it looks like my screen is a little crookedy, so I'll fix it. But, and so I started out, when I got out of college, long time ago, working for a corporation, and I wasn't getting a lot out of it. I got recruited away to work for a Fortune 100 company, and this was pre-internet. And I often say I have a business because there wasn't an internet back in the early 90s. Because I was super busy for like a week of the month, but then the other 3 weeks it was kind of like twiddling your thumbs. Now maybe I could have watched Netflix or surf the web or played on Facebook all day, but there wasn't anything to do like that. So I was absolutely bored to death. I'm the kind of person that you can work me to death, but don't bore me to death. So I started out in business like in my early 20s. I mean, I knew that I eventually wanted to have a business, but I don't think looking back now, I was so crazy. I mean, if you want to know the truth, I mean, to be sitting there trying to talk to people about money when I was doing their taxes. I was helping them with their business, and I was only like 25 years old. I mean, to think that someone 25 years old with no experience, but had a great education would be talking to me and people like my clients now that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, that have financial wealth. I mean, you just don't realize how crazy you are until so now I have the 30 years of experience, but I was doing it way back when I was much younger. But the reality is, I didn't know what I was doing either, because nowhere in, as far as the real money part, there's nowhere in our educational system where we're taught about money. You don't come out of the womb understanding the rules of money, because it's a game, and it's a lot harder when you don't know the rules, right?
Yes.
I mean, you can win by mistake sometimes, get a good card or whatever. But if you know the rules about money and about business and about any part of life, it makes it a lot easier. So I've kind of spent the last 30 years I started from nothing. I mean, most people now, they see me, I have a great business. I own this building that I'm in. It's paid for. I have, multiple streams of revenue, but it didn't start out like that.
That's
and you can't, one thing, and I'm sure you come up with this in your life coaching, you can't compare somebody else's middle to your beginning, so I think when I see somebody further ahead than me, I'm not thinking, oh, I could never do that. I'm thinking I need to figure out what they did so that I could do it too. Instead of, I feel like we really give ourselves a downer, like I can't do that, or why would I be able to do that? I mean, and you don't know the struggle that everyone has struggles. I mean, no one just comes out, doing this easily. I mean, so you have to go out and find, I mean, they weren't there when the first office that we had was over on in a shopping center, and we had to have a sign that had individual letters. So, we were just starting out, 25 years old. I just got married, like literally 3 months before I quit my job and decided to start this business. And he was super supportive. And that is important in life, having the right people around you. But so we go and we hang up the sign, we order the individual letters, we hang up the sign ourselves on a Sunday morning because there's no, traffic in the shopping center. Right. And we go to my niece, we were her godparents, and we were having a baptism. And so we were the godparents. So we go about an hour away to the baptism. We come back, and like 3 or 4 of the letters have fallen off the sign because we had put them up there. Because they were like glass and scattered. And so, I mean, people weren't there when the sign had half the letters on the ground. I mean, they only see the 30-year-old business, right? So it has a journey, right? We all started out, way different than where we are today.
That's right.
But I would say if you haven't, if you are already along the journey and you haven't started saving or investing or, getting a grip on your money, obviously the best time is the first day you make money to start automatically putting some to the side. The second best day is today, right? I mean, time is not your friend when it comes to the money game. I mean, you can't decide at 60 that you're going to retire and have a good life. Right. You've got to start doing it, $10 when you're in your 20s adds up to a lot in your 70s, right? But if you wait until you're in your 50s, you got to put thousands away. Most people don't have that in their budget to put thousands away every single month in order to have a lifestyle. So it's really about the little things that you do. I use this analogy. I mean, I'm new to your listeners. I'm new to you. I've lost about 60 pounds in the 12 months before COVID. Thank goodness through COVID, I've been able to keep it off. Haven't made much progress since then, but I haven't, but
that's good. Maintaining is good too.
Exactly. But that wasn't because I had, overnight, plastic surgery and sucked it all off or whatever. It was changing my daily habits, right? That's what happens with your money. It's the little things that you do consistently that make a difference. Not, because people think, oh, if I could just win the lottery, or if I could just have this one big deal. That's not the way money works, because there's an energetic thing that goes along with money as well. If you haven't earned it, you don't really value it as much. I mean, when people win the lottery, like within 3 years, 97% of them are bankrupt because they haven't had that emotional, intellectual contract with earning it, and they don't know how to handle it. And even if they have the right mindset, they don't have the skill set, because you just don't go from 0 to 1 million and understand, what that life is like, right? It's like you couldn't from kindergarten go and be a brain surgeon. You just don't jump to that level. I certainly wouldn't let a kindergarten work on my brain. But there's a progression, and it's the little things that you do every day. And people ask me all the time, like, well, what is the first thing I should do? I mean, the first thing you should do is make sure that you have enough in your budget, whether you're earning your money yourself or you have you work for a job or you have a business, is have a certain amount of savings yourself. I mean, think about it. Did anybody expect back in March that they potentially could not work for 8, 10, 12. Some people in some parts of the country, they are not still working. I mean, where I am in Atlanta, we've had our hair salons are back open. Our nail salons are open. I mean, they're using, social distancing and things like that. But I think some places in the country, if you were a hairstylist, you still aren't cutting hair. I mean, how have you lived for the past 9 months, right?
Right.
I mean, so they used to say that having 6 months of expenses was the norm. I'm saying, well, that might not have been enough for right now.
For this, yes.
But the reality is, it's not just COVID. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years. We had, I remember when the Olympics were in Atlanta in 1996, business was so crazy, you could not even hire somebody because everybody wanted to work for the Olympics. That's going to affect your income. Right. What about 2000, 2001 tech bubble? What about 9/11? What about 2008? I mean, COVID is weird because it's not money and business related, but it's impacting our money. But something always going to be there. The real problem isn't COVID, isn't the 2008 bubble.
Yes.
The real problem is you don't have your act together to begin with.
That's
right?
It. And that's one of the things that I always talk to people about. My niche is because I am a transitional coach, and I feel like habits, for me, that's what I'm teaching people, habits. Mm-hmm. And my one thing is that I would like to talk to them about is transitioning sucks. But if you are pivoting, that feels great. So if I'm going through a pandemic and I'm transitioning, that sucks for me. It's horrible for me. And I feel like money related, that's the same thing. It's when we're talking about life coaching, when I'm saying transitioning, that means I don't have a dime saved and I have to go through something, and then, but pivoting just means, I might have to change my little bit about what I'm doing, just a little bit, but I still have that cushion under me. And all I got to do is turn the little knob this way. That's great. But you're only doing the difference between those two is if you are savings, like you said, when it comes to financial, saving money, being prepared for what if, because something is always around the corner. Now, yes, this is very unique, but you when you have to pivot through it, it's a whole different emotional, just a life experience in itself. So I think it is very important that people decide to make these life-changing habits, hire a financial advisor, hire a life coach, because you thinking of it, well, I really don't have that money, but you do. You just have to change some things that you have been doing that might not be working for you, right? You know what I mean? That might not even be working in your best interest, and figure out what those things are. So I really want, if you're listening, if you have a question for Deborah, come on now, ask. This is the time to ask financial questions, so we're just going to talk business, but you can tell us anything that how you support people in their journey. What are some of the things your business offers? And if you are listening, this is time for questions, honey. This is time for you to join the conversation and ask what you want, because Miss Deborah's 30 years experience, honey, on a regular day is not free. Y'all better jump in when you get it. So when I'm saying doing habits, jumping on these kind of trainings and lives and free stuff like this is where you better be at if you're trying to change some things. And then build a relationship with Deborah afterwards when you're like, oh, she really do know what she's talking about. Most people with 30 years in any kind of game know what they're talking about. All right, but what do you want to talk to us about your business? What is it that,
Well, I mean, basically everything money. So my kind of mantra, helping people make more money, keep more money, and grow your money, which is basically the life cycle of money. Either helping you figure out how to get more in, which is harder to do if you've got a job, right? I use this example all the time. If you go to the orthodontist with your child and they say, hey, my daughter's name is Elise. Hey, Elise needs braces. And they say, that's going to be $5,000 or $7,000. I can't walk into my boss and say, hey, boss, I need, $7,000 for some braces. He's going to be like, get back to your cube and go do your thing. But when I own my own business, I can go and think, okay, what do I have? I can sell more of this. Who do I need to follow up with? Is there a program? You have total control over that. Yeah. So making more, and I help clients in a lot of ways on that. I do a couple masterminds where I help them come up with strategies. I do some group coaching. I do some private coaching. on the make more. I do a lot with sales because the reality is we're selling 24/7. We may not be selling our products or our services, but we're selling our kids on behaving the way that we want to. We're selling our spouse on treating us the way we need to. So having those communication skills is right up there with having the knowledge about money, as far as I'm concerned. And frankly, if you don't have good sales skills, don't start a business, because you are selling all the time. I mean, I kind of look at it as entrepreneurs, we're hunter gatherers. We're the ones that go out and, kill the big mammoth and bring him back. And somebody back at the, at the cave is the worker that's cutting it up and, grilling it up for us. But you've got to be the hunter gatherer if you're a business owner in any kind of thing. And so if you don't have those skills, they can be taught. But if you don't have those skills, if you're never going to be comfortable asking people to pay you, stay in a job, because somebody out there that owns the business is going to be getting you the things to do, right? But then the keep more money is really, really important. Because if you've got a bucket, I look at it this way: if you've got a bucket and you're pouring in as fast as you can, bringing it in, but there's leaks coming out the bottom, you're never going to fill up the bucket, right? So we've got to close up those holes. And it's not, taxes are one of your hugest expenses you're ever going to have. So you've got to have a tax strategy, and there is strategy to it. I mean, the way you're set up can mean thousands of dollars. I've got a strategy of how I have people hire their children, so that if they make too much to get the college credits, they're getting paid as employees. I mean, there's just so many strategies that can be used. There's a way that you can rent your house to yourself and not have to pay taxes on it. But you're not learning that if you're just dropping your stuff off in February, March, or April to H&R Block or another accountant or whatever, or you're trying to do it yourself on TurboTax. I mean, I love TurboTax. I mean, and those kind of things, because I fix so many of the mistakes that people make on those programs. I'm like, thank you. You're keeping me in business. So keeping the money, and it not just from the taxes perspective, but I mean, one little tip I'll tell you that everybody could do: if you pull out your last 3 to 6 months of bank statements and credit card statements and just review them for the auto debits, every time I have people do that, almost everybody can find $200 to $1,000 worth of stuff that they just are like, that they can cut out, that they're not. And then don't tell me you don't have money to then grow your bucket. So now we've got the money coming in, going into the bucket. We were closing up the holes at the bottom of the bucket, and now we want to grow the bucket. So whatever we're made, we want to earn on the money that we're saving. We want to make sure that we're earning as much as we can. And sometimes that means let's have a mix of taxable, tax-free, and tax-deferred strategies. So you see what I'm saying? So basically anywhere in the life cycle of money, either me or I have strategic partnerships, because I only have 24 hours in a day, and I have an awesome team. We make sure that you can, figure out where you need to be with your money. And again, I do not in any way say that life is all about money, but the reality is, one, business is definitely about money. So if you're going to be in business, let's focus on the money part. And two, everything that's important, even in your personal life, is impacted by money, because you can't live in your purpose if you can't keep your lights on.
That's it. And I really believe in that. Like, we have to, because like you said earlier, these are the things that you weren't taught. So it's so many of us that have struggled or still struggling or still going through without knowing much about money. And then for some reason, we have become emotionally tied to money. And so we free ourselves from that emotional kind of thought process, and it's a variety of emotional tied to money. But when you figure out what your thing is,
well, and the reality is, the reality is our money story. I mean, how we feel about money, our relationship with money, is actually formed in the first 7 years of our life. Something we heard, something we saw. I mean, it's kind of like, how we say to try to teach children pre-kindergarten a second language, even if they're just learning the colors and things like that, because those neuro patterns, even if they don't hear it again until high school, they're going to learn that language so much faster. It's the exact same thing with our money. Something was said in your childhood. I mean, that money was hard, or we can't afford that, or whatever. And even if you're now 30 years later in a business that's making you a ton of money, that story is still playing in the back of your head. Not that that's going to keep you from doing things, but you have to know that that's where you're coming from, right? I mean, because it's been a long time since I've had to go to the sale rack at a store. I mean, but I still am very excited when I get a good deal on something.
Me too now. I love it. I love a good sale. But I just want to confirm what you were saying, because I love to tell people this story about myself. A few years ago, when I was going through I went through this journey of life. And so but one of the things that I realized is, and I can't pinpoint where, that I had a fear of being broke. Mm-hmm. So that really tied me down to some of the decisions I was making with money. Mm-hmm. And it was like a scare thing. Oh, I can't do this because if I do this, but this is the kicker. I had never been broke. Mm-hmm. So the thought process came to me somewhere. And I really believe what you said as a kid, I must have heard, maybe it was something that I heard all the time or something like that. So in my spirit, you wouldn't even think that of me if you knew me. I never spent, I'm still frugal with money, but it freed my mind. I'm on a different financial relationship with money now than what I was. And for my business, it kept my business stuck. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't go nowhere, because I'm making decisions on scaredness. And one thing,
you have a scarcity mentality instead of the abundance mentality. And you just had to do that. I mean, but those things play out for you. One of the things that played out as far as money for me was my grandparents. I mean, were very, hardworking people, grew up in the Depression, and they did get some amount of wealth from working their butts off, right? And so their story always was money is easy, but you have to work really hard for it. And so even as my business went into this higher six figures, I still felt like I had to keep doing a lot of the work. Even though I'm telling other people, do only the parts that you should do, I still retained things that I shouldn't be, because of that story in the back of my head that I heard, that you can make great money, but you have to work hard for it. I mean, those are the programs that we have running. Layer that on top of the fact that no one told us the rules of it, right? I mean, there's less than 4% of the high schools in the country that have any personal finance education within their curriculum. 4%. So it's 96% are not even hearing about it. And the courses that I've kind of listened to, it's still not even really talking about the stuff that's important, not explaining to them good debt versus bad debt, and how the credit card work and all that kind of stuff.
It's not basic, because I literally I have a program for young people as well. I mentor young people as well. And in that program, I have a financial basic. When I tell you it's a basic financial thing, but majority of my youth had no idea. They had no idea. And I'm thinking, how do you go through high school,
Because they're not being told it. And their parents don't know it either. Because I will tell you, when I first started talking about financial confidence and financial literacy, because I was seeing a theme through all these clients coming through. I mean, I have over 1,000 clients. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of people over the past 30 years. And there was a common theme that you could just tell, no matter where they were, at the lower end of the income all the way up to the higher end, that there was a lack of understanding about the way money works. And so my children, who are now a little bit older now, 18 and 22, when they were kind of in their younger teens, I could see that they were not getting the right messaging either a little bit. So I started just talking to teens about how money works and stuff. And so I was talking to my clients about it, and they're like, oh, that sounds amazing, but I'd like to listen in too, because they had not even heard this stuff. They didn't know it themselves. So how could they be teaching it to their children? I mean, that's a little bit why people feel like there's a little bit of, wealthy people do explain to their children about money. They do talk to their children about money. And maybe that's one of the biggest advantages that those folks have, is because they've been told things that others were not told, right?
Exactly. And that's the same thing when I started with my nonprofit. And then when I realized through years of a lot of the parents saying, hey, I never went through this. This is really where my collection comes from. My life planning collection and thought process come from for women, is because of what we were doing with the youth. And they're like, well, we really never, I've never done any of this myself. So I agree with you 100% about, you have to educate people where they are and be okay with that. Like a lot of us, want to judge and be judgy about it. And I think that's why a lot of people don't come up front about getting financial help.
Well, there's a lot of shame about it. Like, I should know this, or,
So we're here right now on this broadcast to tell you, look, we got it. We ain't got time for shame no more. Like you really don't have, we don't have that kind of time. You don't have time to feel shamed about anything. I mean, anything. If you need a counselor, baby, go get you a counselor. Okay. If you need a financial advisor, go get you a financial advisor. Like we don't have that kind of life is quick. When I was in my 20s, I was like, oh my God, 40 is so far away. I'm creeping, almost to 50. Mm-hmm. So no, it goes fast.
It does. It does. And the thing is, there are a lot of free resources out there. Obviously, I can't do everything for free, but I have a lot of resources that I give out. I do a lot of talks like this and give just like lots of information. I used to only do it for my clients because we were doing it live, but I do a course called Wealth 101. It's about a 60 to 90 minute presentation. Just depends on the questions, how long it takes. But now I'm doing them online because my clients were kind of a little freaked out about coming into the office. And so since it's online, I've opened it up to other people. I don't charge anything for that. It explains the 6 areas that you need to be focusing on. It explains about the power of 72, which it basically explains how compound interest works, how it works for you when you're saving, how it works against you when you have debt, and talk about good debt versus bad debt. Yeah. Because the thing is, leverage is important. If we waited till we could buy a house, nobody would have a house, right? So we have to use debt, smartly, but we don't want to be buying that $1,000 Louis Vuitton purse and paying on it on credit for 5 years, because then it's a $2,000 purse and you shouldn't have gotten it to begin with. I'm not against people having nice things. You just have to realize the repercussions of what you're doing.
That's right. I totally agree. And so when it's all order, let's say that, because that's my thing, organizing, so it's all order. So yes, you can have those nice things, but you got to get some stuff in order, honey. You got to put some things in order to do those nice, because then it'll all make sense. And then it'll be a better value, because sometimes when you make a decision, so you go buy that purse and you really didn't have anything in order. Now you're regretting it, and you got some kind of feeling about now where you are, where you should have done this with that money, or whatever the case. And so let's not do that. Those kind of, tides to it, and let's just get what we need to get out of it. And no, I'm not on here trying to tell you I'm a financial nothing. Y'all want to talk about money? Y'all got people. I'm bringing people on here that will assist you with that, with getting where you need to be in this thing. All right. So what I want to ask you next is, how are you living life on your terms? What are some of the things that you are doing to live life on your terms?
Well, like I said, I'm an entrepreneurial junkie. I think the entrepreneurial life, I've been doing it for 30 years. It's the only way to go. I have total control over my schedule. I am able to increase or decrease, turn on the spigot with my income as I please. I can figure out different ways to have that. To me, is living life on my own terms. Now, if I want to be answering emails at 10 o'clock at night because I want to be answering emails, it's because I want to do it, right? I don't feel like what I do is work. I love what I'm doing. I don't ever really see myself like retiring, because it's just too fun. So to me, I spend time with, I spend time with the people that I want to spend time with. That's one thing that I did notice in COVID a little bit, that I have taken away from COVID a little bit, is I only want to work with the people that I want to work with, right? And during this time, I kind of felt like people showed their true colors a little bit more, don't you?
Yes, they did, but thank you.
And I say this all the time at the office, it's not all money is good money, right?
That's right. I learned that.
It's, not everybody is your people. And so that's how I live my life. I choose who I'm going to work with. I have my business and my life set up so that I don't have to chase every single dollar that comes along, right? I don't turn away good clients, but I don't take on clients that I could tell are going to be trouble for me, because reality is, it goes back to the money mindset. The people that ask for discounts, the people that want you to do a ton of stuff for free, the people that are paying a lower price, they're literally are the ones that are more trouble for you. They're demanding. The people that pay your premium prices don't bother you as much, don't ask you and question you. I mean, honestly, when a person comes to me and they want to, after I've done the tax return, question every single thing about it, I'm like, oh my God, if you knew how to do it, why did you bring it to me? Or you think you knew how to do it?
You're expert. You're on the wrong side of this. Maybe I should have hired you.
Or it's kind of like Dr. Google in a way. You don't go to your doctor and tell them what you've already figured out is wrong with you. I mean, but that's to me how I live my life. I mean,
I want people to hear, because a lot of people don't hear. I want people to hear what you said, because my drive is, I too believe that everybody should be a business owner. And I'm not, like you said too, it ain't mean that's all you're doing is owning a bit. If it's a side hustle, because it's confidence in that. And it builds something, a part of you that you didn't even know you had. So that's why I feel like everybody should have a business. My next thing is, all money isn't good money. Thank goodness I was raised by some great people, because when I started my business young, I was only 25-ish, 24, 25-ish when I started entrepreneurship. And I knew that people would call me and say, hey, at the time I was daycare, because I'm education is me. I need a sitter. I need someone to watch my kids, and I need a Monday, and it's the weekend, right? They're calling me. And I go, well, no, we do interviews. You can't just drop your baby off. Your baby might not work for my what we got going on here. Because if I can't give your child or give you what you really deserve and need, then I can't do that. So people always felt that was a weird thing that I did that. And I'm like, no, because I don't need, not that I was rich, but I don't need the money if that's going to cause me, because anything could happen. So wonder if that child needed some extra help that I couldn't provide. That's dangerous for my business. So when you said that, I said, that's right. And people need to understand that and have those kind of morals and beliefs set up in their what I call their value system set up for themselves, so that they'll know that you need to be discerned about who you are, allowing, and who's in your circle, who's in your tribe, as I call them.
Right.
Because that's important in life, business or no business. That's important.
Exactly. Well, I think it's really important to really define and, even you need to have a certain, I call it, like, for me, money non-negotiables. I think that fits through your whole, on the personal side. Again, owning a business is awesome, but the reality is I've never seen in 3 decades a super successful business when the personal finances were out of whack. So you got to, it doesn't fit. You can't be like totally messed up and in credit card debt and messed up on your personal side and then have your business really good. So I have I call them my money non-negotiables. And I think everybody should define what those are. What are the things that what are my money rules, my personal money rules, right? And so I have a few areas that I consider, like, if it's going to help me in any one of these 4 areas, it's pretty much a hard yes. I mean, of course, everything has to make sense. Like, I'm not going to spend $1 million to make $5. But if it makes sense, if it's something that's going to bring me more money, get me a better investment, build my business, that's almost always a yes. If it's going to build relationships, because I think that's the next level of wealth, is your relationships. And that could be with clients, that could be with referral partners, that could be with my family. So if it's going to get me more relationship, that's a good yes, usually. If it's going to buy me time, because the reality is I can make more money, but I can't make any more time. Wow. So if I can pay somebody to be at my house doing my laundry and doing meal prep, obviously I can make money, then I can pay that person. Now, finding a good person that values the job, that's a little bit harder. But if it's going to buy me time, that's a yes. And then I added, when this whole health journey kind of came on about 2 years ago, I added, if it's going to improve my health, because the thing is, it's a money issue too. One, I'm going to feel better, but the reality is, if you ignore your health, it's a pay now or pay later kind of situation. You can spend money to make yourself in better health today, or you're going to spend a lot more when you're in your retirement years because you didn't do the things you needed to do now. So any of those 4 areas, those are my 4 money non-negotiables, and people have to come up with their own non-negotiables. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't buy something that doesn't fit into those 4 areas. It's just, I might think about it a little bit more, and it has to really, be something that I want. I'm not telling anybody they can't have what they want. Again, like what you said, you just maybe can't have it all at the same time.
That's good. Very good. So that's pretty much when it comes to just living life on your terms. That's it. you're building relationships with the people that value you and you value them. And I think that that's important for us to know and understand what that really looks like. Being able to understand every click ain't for you, and it's okay, because I think growing up in the way society has us thinking that, oh, I want to be in that clique. Well, just because you want to be in that clique, because you think you want to be in that clique, does not mean that you really want to be a part of that team. And you need to know who you are and what you really are valued at, to decide if that was really for you. And when you realize, no, that ain't for me, and I'm okay with that. Like when you start being okay with some things that the world deem is unusual, then that's when you're living life on your terms. That's when
exactly. And
to truly know.
I think too, this is something that I say, not all people are my people, right? But for the people that I'm,
Honey.
right? I mean, the fact is, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. I don't have to be. And when you get settled with that, both on the personal and the business side, it's so freeing. Because I mean, you will let yourself get so freaked out about why this person doesn't like you, or this person, doesn't, that's just white noise. For the people that you are their people, that's all that matters. I mean, and that's a hard one. I have a teenage daughter. I mean, there's a lot that these young people have to go through. It's just so much peer pressure for different things. And when you get, you can't be this confident in yourself, obviously, in your teens. But when you get that reality, when you get that layer of confidence that I don't have to be everybody's people, I mean, it's huge.
Huge. It is huge. And it is huge. And it's not a conceited type of thing, because I love everybody. I really do. I truly, that's my part of my journey walk, that I love everybody. And with no strings attached. I don't have to have strings attached for my love to go out. So when you get there, when you begin to do things without malice, you begin to just operate your life, with your intentions on the right side. That's all that matters. And I want people, because to me, I feel like we are living in such a false world, an imitation world, that I want people to really start figuring out where their feelings are. I too have a teenage daughter, and a lot of times when I ask her, how does she feel? How's she doing? She really can't grasp her feelings, because I really feel like a lot of the things around her are so fake. She doesn't really know. Like, she doesn't really know what to gauge it off of. Like, what she's feeling. And so we need to start just understanding that some of the stuff that we're going through, or we're feeling, or this person did this to me and looked at me. You don't know what they're going through. So stop judging them on whatever lack they did, and just work on you, work on whatever it is. And you have to start putting other people in their place. Everybody got a place. Some people going to be right up there with you, and that's their space. And some people going to be farther down the line, but you still rooting for them. They might not be rooting for you.
Right. Well, it's funny that you say that about,
but that's okay. So I think that that's when you start really understanding you to the core of you, and journaling, writing down what you like. I love when you said you have financial and business, like, you didn't say goals, but how you have standards.
Right, okay. Right, exactly. They're my I don't even know. You almost need to have a code of conduct. Your code of conduct. This is your way of living. But you know what you said though about focusing on yourself. To me, that's how you can get a lot of clarity in many areas, especially on financial. Because if I look at it from the perspective of the micro, which is me, and the macro being the big world, right? If you've got your micro situation, how you are set up, like if you were ready with that 6 or 9 months, or if you had your money non-negotiables and everything, it doesn't matter that COVID happened. It doesn't matter that 2008 happened. That's going to be like, I mean, you have to pay attention to it. And I say this all the time, fish can't fly, birds can't swim. So in other words, I can't exist outside the, in a bubble outside the environment of what's happening. I mean, I can't ignore that COVID is happening, right? But that doesn't mean it has to impact every single thing that I do every day. If I already have my internal, bubble taken care of, right?
That's right. That's right. I have some comments just from earlier. I love to share my comments. So this is a young lady that I I'm no longer her teacher now, but I am her mentor, and she's in high school. And so now the school is on, online learning. So she joins my talks, which I love, love, love. And the other day she was talking to some friends and she was like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And I just thought that that was amazing. So I do always like to share her story. She does tune in because, these teenagers could be anywhere. They got to be listening to me and you. 9 o'clock in the morning. So I do want to make sure that I, just focus on that. And I'm receiving this message today. Yes, thank you. And one more. So proud of you. You are amazing. Oh, thank you, Monica. Thank you. And so just really wanting, people to, if they have right now, just really understand that you have the opportunity and to speak out. Like Facebook and social media gives you the opportunity to work on some things that you need to work on. So just take the time. One thing I always say is today is the day to begin. And so whatever that looks like, you could be 70 years old. Today is the day to begin, baby. You could be whatever, however old, but today is the day to begin something. Your life should be moving something. And one thing that I'm very passionate about is for people to get their finances in order, because it does allow you to live life on your terms. Mm-hmm. It does allow you to be free of some of the things that you're trapped in and you don't know how you got there, So bringing on people that have, look, I'm gonna say it again because I don't know if anybody is listening. 30 years experience, that's not something to that's not something to just say, oh yeah, whatever, no, this is serious. Think of something else if somebody told you they had 30 years experience in it. A doctor, if a doctor came and told you had 30 years experience, you trust that. You want to be around that. You want to, figure out how I can, how they could be my doctor to make sure my health is right. So this is the same thing with your financials. When we start to understand that your finances are just important as your health because they go hand in hand, then life will start being able to be manageable and it will start able to be easier. Now, am I saying that I don't have trials and tribulations? No, but the way that I go through that trial and the way that I'm going through that tribulation is way different, mentally and all. So it is the time for our end of our talk, but before I do, we do a freestyle, just anything. Like, we talked about sometimes when I'm interviewing women, people can only see women one dimensional, right? Like, so if you say I'm a financial guru, right? Then that's all they see you at, right, Deborah? They don't see anything else. But hey, you might be a secret guitar player or something, You might have some of these other talents that nobody knows about. So I love doing the freestyle because I love for people to understand we're very dimensional. So please stop trying to put us in this little box because there's no box that's going to fit. I tell people, this is my saying, that's going to fit all this God-given to personality. So stop trying to do it. Okay. So what is something you might want to tell us or anything? I mean, it could be anything your heart desires that you want to let us know.
The thing is, I do eat, breathe, and sleep this whole money thing. I consume it like candy. It doesn't feel like work to me. I don't watch the mainstream TV and media and stuff like that. So I'm listening to podcasts. I'm information. I love to read. I love to read a lot of crazy like romance and sci-fi because what I do in my daytime is so serious. That's kind of my, like outlet to have some, I don't want to watch a bunch of TV.
It. I love that. So because people when they see you one way, they don't know that it's not, I got some other things. So reading is good. I like podcasting. I think that that's something people are sleeping on. Y'all better find y'all some good podcasters and get off this mainstream media circus because it's a circus and get.
Well, it's kind of infotainment these days, isn't it?
It's not even real news anymore. So
not exactly like journalism.
Get to something that's real. That's all I'm saying. Find you some podcasts and some entertainment and you there's so many out there now. You can listen to a whole band on a podcast now. So figure out what you want to feed yourself. And I do appreciate you taking this time out of your busy life. I think I want to kind of, have the listeners follow you, because I did hear some key things. Your business, that office space or business that you have is fully paid for. Sometimes you got to underhear what you hear. Okay. So if you're listening, that's a big deal. So evidently, Miss Deborah knows how to do her money and make her money work for her. So I feel like everything can't be for free. So if you want to know how Miss Deborah make her money work for her, you might need to catch her on her Facebook page, and we'll put all your links in wherever to, so that they can catch whatever it is that you got going on, because those kind of things are important. Just learning how to set yourself up that you can have this kind. And she said she has clients, and so all of this is very important information on how do you do that. Okay, because some people starting the business want to know, how do you even have some clients?
Exactly. And that's part of that's kind of part of the make more, is teaching people how to, I mean, because the thing is, it is hard. Again, another thing that you don't immediately know how to do is go out and find people that, you have a problem that you can solve, but if people don't know about you, if you don't know the best ways to get them in touch with you, then you're in trouble, right?
Right.
I like this question.
Question. Okay, so this is for you, evidently.
What are some of the ways we can rewrite your money story? Well, the reality on that, you have to really look at where you are, and I'm just trying to think of the easiest way. Because I do whole hours and hours about talking about this, but really you've got to focus on the things that you're doing right and not the things that you're doing wrong. So I think talking about it more, having a money date with either yourself or if you're married, with your spouse, at least once a month, helps you rewrite that money story. Because if your story was that I'm broke, or that I don't have enough money, but then the reality is not proving that, then you're by default, the story is going to change, right? So I think looking at it, pulling back the curtain, is the very first way to work on your money story. A lot of times too, I think being in a mastermind group, if you're a business owner, is a great way, because that comes up a lot. I've found that during COVID that, CPA stands for Certified Public Accountant, that the P feels a little bit more like psychologist. Everybody has money issues. Everybody has money issues. And the stress of what's going on with COVID right now has them percolating up to the top. So, it's like any other area. If you really have an issue, I say it makes sense to get a coach. Because they're going to figure out where that story is coming from and then help you rewrite that. Because I think it's kind of hard. I was heavy for literally, my youngest is 18 years old. I had been heavy since I had kids. I was pretty thin before I had kids. And I had tried a million things. There's a lot of information on the internet about, what to do to lose weight or whatever. But I did not have that significant change, 60 pounds in about 12 months, until I got a coach to hold my hand and do it. It wasn't like she told me stuff that I had not heard. You need accountability is what it really comes down to.
It is rough, and that's exactly what I tell people. Stop the shame, stop the procrastination, go get you a coach. And baby, if you need a coach in every area, then do that. If you need a financial coach, because they'll become your tribe that we're talking about. These are people that will become your cheerleaders, your tribe, your people that will get you going. And all of us need one. And one thing I want to say, we all need a financial advisor or someone that's on the financial track to help us. Right now, in this day, 2020, we all need a therapist, all of it. Even if you're the sanest mind, you still need a therapist in this way. And you need someone, I feel like a life coach or a mentor to get you through, because every phase of life, you have to get over some kind of hump that you ain't never been over before. And somebody else has. That's the bottom line. So I hate to cut this short. I do love that you came on my show. I love the way that this works, because this is literally our first time meeting. Nobody ever knows that. When I bring people on, it's usually our first time ever meeting. And you said yes. I put out the invitation and you said yes. And to me, I thank you for that. I thank you for saying yes, because you did not have to. And that means a lot to me. And I don't want to ever seem like I'm ungrateful for you, because with your experience, with all that you could be doing right now, with your business, that you took the time out to come and talk to people about how to get their financial life in
Yeah.
order. And
Yeah.
so I thank you for that.
No, I appreciate the opportunity. I do kind of live by the to whom much is given, much is expected.
Mhm.
And I mean, to me, it, I enjoy sharing. I mean, I feel like hopefully there were some nuggets in there that anybody that listened could take away and improve their financial situation, because I am of the thought process that for me to win, the other person doesn't have to lose. This isn't a zero sum game. And I truly believe that good people making good money do good things. And the more people that are making more money, it's rising tides raise all boats, right? If as the ocean increases, as we all have more money, nobody's like sinking. We're all going up. And so that to me is my kind of like gratitude for where I mean, granted, I've done a lot of work. I've worked hard for where I am, but a lot of it is, I wouldn't say luck, but risk taking. It is being willing to be at the right place at the right time, be willing to take opportunities. And
Mhm.
if I can give somebody some information, some financial confidence so that they can go to the next level, then I feel like that's a little bit of payback for
Yes, that
people that
is.
helped me in the past.
That is it. And like I said, I thank you for this time. If you haven't already, Facebook or anybody out there, join the Start Living Your Dreams training group. Not only do you get the training like we're doing here, there's also information or what's going on, or financial tips or whatever you might need, and just developing relationships. That's really
Mhm.
what the group was about, to start collaborations going. So
Awesome.
I really want you all to reach out to Deborah Daniel, to with whatever she has going on. You guys, stop being afraid to meet new people and being afraid to get out of your comfort zone to do something different, because that difference is going to be the opening of your life. All right, so you all have a great rest of your day. I know it's just, look, I've been up, but it is a pleasure, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye bye.
Bye.